welcome back to another episode of Extra Reps with Adrienne L. And today we're going to be talking with Grace Turner about her experience in high school and college as well, and potentially going to play pro. So without further ado, let's get started.
Finger guns.
All right, so today we're going to be talking to one of my best friends, Grace Turner, and she's going to share some of her stories, some of her experiences through high school, college, and we do have an exciting announcement. As you know from the last episode, I'm graduated from West Virginia. Grace has just graduated from Virginia, and we have the opportunity to go play pro together.
So exciting!
So we're going to be going to Peru. We leave December 27th. And we'll be there till like the end of April, beginning of May. And I'll be playing opposite.
I'll be playing outside.
So it's very coincidental that we are like on the same team because, you know, it never happens.
Yeah,
like,
totally sarcastic. But I was kind of like, oh, Adrienne's my best friend. Like, what if we played together?
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, we get an email that was like, Vamos a la Peru. And we were like, oh,
yeah. So we didn't even realize we had the same agent until we were talking to each other. And we were like, is your agent Nick? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, me too. And then
I was like, where does he want you to, where's your options? And she's like, Peru, and then, you know, wherever else. And I was like, he wants to send me to Peru as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, what position?
Trying to go to the same spot, and I was like, oh damn, this is gonna be kind of terrible.
I was like, I can go somewhere else, man. It's yeah, thankfully it all worked out, which is just so wild.
Yes, it'll be a great start to the pro career because I mean I'm gonna be so sad like in the airport crying as I leave everyone. So I'm glad that Grace,
and I'm gonna be like, oh, come on man, let's go.
I'm very happy that Grace will be there, and like it'll go quickly from like a sad goodbye to like girls' vacation. We're going to the beach. So
I know.
I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, no, I think that it's gonna be something we always wanted to do too. So I think that it'll be so fun.
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking about playing pro since I was little. Grace was a little bit later.
Yeah, you can like thank her for all of my like volleyball accomplishments. I definitely would not have played if I did not meet Adrienne and she wasn't like, you should probably like start on like the college process now. I just want to be like Adrienne. That's kind of it.
Yeah.
So
that's the present time. We're gonna rewind a little bit back, maybe even before we were best friends. So why don't you tell your first experience with me to the world?
So I started playing volleyball just because my parents always played, and they played sand up at like a local sand place near us. And I would go and like play in the like sand pit, and I was kind of like, yeah, volleyball's fun. But I could have swore to everybody that I was going to play soccer in college. I was like, I'm going to be the next Mia Hamm. I'm going to be amazing. I didn't know anything about college soccer or anything like that, but I was like, I'm going to do it. And so obviously growing up, I played a lot of sports, and volleyball was just kind of like a filler sport just to keep me in shape. And it was like another thing that I could be doing. Like my parents were trying to get the kids out of the house, and they were like, let's just have you do this. And so I played throughout grade school, and then I would do like sand every once in a while just for fun in the summers. And then we were getting into high school, and I played for a local club, and Adrienne's mom was one of the coaches there for a little bit. And I just remember her mom, Angel, was just like, you know, always checking in on my team. And I had no idea who they were. I was just kind of like, okay, I'm playing volleyball. Like, I'm here to do whatever.
I think it was because Joe went to one of her camps.
Oh my gosh.
So that's how your parents like knew my mom.
Yeah, my younger brother loves volleyball too. He plays club in college, but he was the only boy at her mom's camp and was just
did not faze him at all.
No,
he did not stop talking to me.
And he has not changed since. And
he claims to be my first friend.
Yeah,
we were friends before Grace and I were friends.
It's so sad that it's kind of true a little bit. And so I am going to this one high school, and obviously I had heard that there was a freshman that had made varsity, and like for me, I was like, that's so unheard of. Like, you can't be that good to make varsity as a freshman. That's like my knowledge of high school volleyball and like the talent that there actually was. Lo and behold, like she did it, and she's always humble. That's your problem, is you're always humble. So people don't actually like understand the capacity of like how good you are like mentally and physically. And so she made varsity, and I was kind of like, oh my gosh, like that, she can't even be that good, like whatever. And so I go and I try out and I make JV. And so Adrian's mom is my coach, which I'm super happy about because obviously your mom is a fantastic coach, really good experience. And she's played in college. And I also had like some of my closest friends on the JV team. So I was like, this is going to be fun. And so Adrian would kind of like come with us to all of our team bonding events.
Which I hated because I wasn't like, not that I didn't like them, but I wasn't on their team and I felt like I was intruding. And my mom was like, no, you're coming with me.
Yeah.
And even some of the girls like were in my grade on the team because I mean, I was only like a sophomore when she was a freshman.
Mhm.
And I was just like, I feel bad. Like, this is not my team. Like, I don't want to be like intruding on their like bonding time. And she's like,
Yeah.
you're coming. And then all the girls would kind of be like, me. And
Yeah.
then, but I was just like, I'd sit in the corner and like one of the team bondings was at your house. My mom was showing the movie Miracle.
I love that
And
movie, by the way.
Joe was home, who was at the camp, and me and Joe and my little brother went into the back, like other part of the basement, and we played Mario Bros. Like Smash
For the
Bros.
entire
Literally
time.
the whole movie. And then my mom was like, okay, we're leaving. And I was like, all right.
Yeah, so that's how their Joe and Adrian's friendship formed. I was so jealous. But so yeah, Adrian would kind of just like come around and like we talked every once in a while, and it wasn't like I wouldn't say it was anything like super special, but
No, but
then
people also thought we were related.
Yeah.
We were twins that weren't related
yeah,
somehow.
everybody thought because we were tall and lanky and little and like
We
Adrian was really good at volleyball and I was just like decent. I
we
was like,
looked way more similar in high school, like same color
do
hair.
you remember that one
There's
video?
a video of us. So we'll backtrack a little bit. Grace used to come up and play on varsity every once in a while. And and so we were at like, I don't know, we just looked alike. We were at this one match and she was playing middle at the time. I was playing on the outside. And there's literally a video of us going up to hit an overpass. And we are in sync, like arms go up at the same time, come back. Facial expressions are literally the same. We pull our hand down this way to hit up here. Like everything was in sync. It was the scariest thing. I wish I still had that video.
Yeah,
but
there's no way we can get it.
Yeah.
But it was like the most in sync video. It
Yeah.
was like almost like a different like
it was like copied and pasted, like me and you were just
Yeah.
the same human.
yeah. So everybody thought that we were twins, and it didn't make sense because her last name's Elle, mine's Turner. So we were kind of like, are you guys serious? And so we
Yeah.
kind of like go along, and then we had another friend, Sarah.
Mhm.
So Sarah was best friends with Adrian.
Yeah.
But Sarah's mom went to prom with my dad in high school. So obviously, my dad was like, you should be friends with Sarah because that family is so cool. So I kind of started to know Sarah. And then that's how I kind of got close to Adrian.
Yeah.
And so then I kind of realized that she was all the hype. She actually was really that good, and that I was being dramatic and had no idea what I was talking about. But so yeah, I played all like JV, and then when I would sit varsity, I would just like hang out with Adrian and Sarah all the time. And
Remember your first? Well, I don't know if it was your
my
first.
God, she yelled at me. I was born with a deviated septum, a horrible deviated septum, and I couldn't breathe all my life. I'm a mouth breather, and I am proud to admit that. And
You showed up to a practice, and varsity practice, like I think it was 7 to 9. It was late. So Grace walks in, and my mom was
15 minutes
still,
of fun.
yeah, my mom was still like kind of helping an assistant with the varsity team. So like she also was like making sure Grace wasn't getting eaten alive by us like scary upperclassmen.
I did.
And so we do this drill called 15 minutes of fun, and it's more fun for the coaches than us. But Grace, part of it, like you win or lose the rally. If you lose, you have to run, and then you get right back into the drill. So Grace is dying. I don't even know what side. You weren't on my side of it.
No, I would, because you were the one that was like obliterating us. Yeah.
So I was just like, I don't know. Grace could not breathe, and none of us knew she had a deviated septum because none of us knew you.
Yeah.
And you were like over by the fan. We didn't have air conditioning in our high school gym either, so that doesn't help anything.
And everyone's like,
she's
out
not-
through your nose, out through your mouth. And I was like, I can't go in through.
Yeah,
my
and my
nose.
mom doesn't make you run at practice, so you
No.
had no like conditioning. We were all like used to this drill, used to practice, and she's over there like in front of the fan dying, and we were all like, "What? This freaking freshman is coming up here and can't even handle one drill." Like we were being so mean.
I was like,
But-
guys, I really can't breathe. I'm sorry.
Then we got to know Grace, and we found out she can't breathe, so it was a little bit better.
And
But
to this day, I still can't breathe out of my nose, but
it's okay.
it's
Yeah,
I've learned to adapt without that.
yeah.
But yeah, that was like a rude awakening to like the varsity practice. I was like, Dad, I don't want to go back there. But then obviously, like I got to know Adrian, got to know Sarah, and it made life a lot easier because varsity is very different than JV, I would say, because you guys we had some like good talent on that team. You guys were tough.
Yeah, and we were all pretty competitive, so
Very.
we wanted to win. But then, so fast forwarding a little bit, so she makes varsity your sophomore year.
Yep.
And I'm a junior. So this is when I like first kind of get diagnosed with cancer. You don't have to go whatever details story you want to tell you can, but so we played together in high school, but in reality I think we played maybe 10 matches total.
And that's like generous.
Yeah, because obviously my sophomore year she was only playing varsity sometimes. Then her sophomore year I was out because I had cancer, and then we'll get into the rest of it later.
Yeah.
But my junior year, your sophomore year, you started to blossom and become your own little player on the team.
Oh gosh. I started to get like a little bit more decent at volleyball, and I was so excited because I like finally got to play with Adrian, and it was gonna be like everybody was like, okay, it's gonna be like the Grace and Adrian duo. Like like the what division were we even in?
I think we were Division 2.
Yeah, people were like they're gonna go to states, like they're gonna win.
Yeah.
And then
which is true because we were both like 6 foot tall by this point.
Yeah.
Everyone else on the team was probably under 6 foot.
Yeah.
And then
we were also playing for 2 of the top clubs in the nation at that time.
This point, you started to be more serious and you wanted to play in college.
No, for sure.
So we both had that mindset, and not everyone on the team had it, but we had it, and we were going to do whatever we could to win. Yeah. And then I had a cough.
Youngin got sick.
And my mom had to go and tell the team that I was in the hospital and I had cancer. And everyone obviously like got super emotional and like broke down. And I mean, I was just in the hospital chilling because I hadn't I hadn't done any treatment yet. I was still the same person. I just couldn't leave the hospital. And I remember getting all these texts from the team like, we're coming to get you flowers, like, whatever, what do you want from Kroger? And I was like, I don't get chocolate milk is fine and whatever.
The chocolate milk, you were like, I can't drink any more chocolate milk.
And so then I was standing in like the glass doorway on my floor of the hospital, and all of these McNick high school volleyball players were coming towards me, like freaking out. Yeah. Get off the elevator, and they all hung out for a while. And it was super nice to like hang out, but
it was so sad,
it a little harder than others, and I mean, it was.
I was so you were just so little, and I was like, oh my gosh,
sure of like when we were like in high school together.
Yeah, no, we totally did. And then we have a picture of the day. I have a picture of the day that I went and visited you in the hospital. Yeah, and we're in like my picture. We look really well. I don't have eyebrows, and like I have braces and stuff. Yeah. But no, I remember we were doing the Ambar route, or we were doing the McNick route stuff. And your mom was sitting down with our coach at the time and like places a box of tissues on the thing. And we kind of start running, and I'm running next to Gracie. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, like, what's going on? And Gracie's like, I don't know. Like, I don't think it's fine. And I was like, Gracie, like, what if she has cancer? And that was like the first thing that came to my head. It was like horrible. Yeah. But I was like, you don't just so like sit down like that. Yeah. And Gracie actually hit me, and she's like, why would you think that? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't have a good feeling about this. Like, you don't just like place a box of tissues on like a picnic table outside and then like have the coach like wait, like, you don't like, that's just not for like if you like broke your leg or something like that. I already did that. Don't worry. Yeah, I was like, your checklist is like unmatched. But yeah, I remember coming back after running it, and I was like pooped, and then your mom sat us all down and told us, and I just remember like crumbling. Yeah. And then like everybody was like coming over and like hugging each other and stuff. And then I called my mom, and your mom had told us like what kind it was. Yeah. And so I called my mom right away, and she was like, okay, well, like she's gonna be fine. Like she's young and healthy. Like it's gonna be okay. I was like, but she's just so little. Like, is she going to be fine? And my mom's like, well, Grace, like she's like one of the best volleyball players you've ever seen, right? And I was like, well, yeah. And she goes, yeah, so she's strong and she's smart. Like she's going to be okay. And I was like, okay. So I went with Sarah to Kroger, and Sarah had to like, I was so weak that Sarah had to like push me in the cart. Yeah. And like everyone was like, is she okay? And Sarah's like, yeah, like just a really rough day. Yeah, poor girl. And then we went and visited you. And so I guess my sophomore year consisted of like weekly hospital visits, which was so fun for me actually, because we like painted your nails. And I
Some of
went,
which I didn't even remember.
yeah, one day I walked in the hospital room, and obviously, like your family and friends are there to like help you like kind of decorate your room, like get you stuff that you need that like the hospital doesn't provide, like blankets and pillows. And I walked in and I was like, oh my gosh, like her room, her bed, it's just they don't even have blankets. And Adrian hates the cold. Like if it drops below honestly 70, then like consider it like the Antarctic weather. And I had my dad go out with me to get you like a fuzzy blanket, like sheets for
Yeah.
the bed. And Adrian, you were going through a treatment at that time, weren't you?
I don't know what I was, but I was so in and out of sleep. I remember like my mom was there, obviously, and I like kind of woke up, opened my eyes, and I see like Grace and her dad, and I was like, "Hi."
Yeah, and then
then
you
I
passed out right away.
And then I really don't know what else happened. I know you brought a Minions poster and the blanket,
Oh, good for me.
and you
I
talked
got you
to
a
my
Minions
mom.
poster.
And
Yeah, we were there for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, and I was just like in and out of it. Like I don't know what medicine I was on or if I was even on anything, but
Yeah.
I only vaguely remember that visit. But yeah, we would paint nails while I had hair. I remember Sarah braiding my hair at one point.
When you were allowed out of the hospital, we like
Yeah.
went to the farm. We did so much.
Yeah.
So we tried to make sure that you were like never bored and like
Yeah.
never not doing anything.
Right.
Which was like it helped us too, because obviously
Yeah.
like you're like worried about you all the time.
Yeah. And I wanted that to be the last thing on your mind.
Yeah.
I was like, don't worry about me. I'm fine.
I know.
I'm
You're
playing
like
volleyball.
the worst with that. Like you there was like not a day that we didn't think that like so like she was like always put on like the tough face, and you really do. Like she has like a brave facade, and she doesn't want anybody to know until like 3 years later, and she's like, yeah, well actually like this is what was going on, this was happening, and you would like have never known.
Yeah.
Because you're so good at like putting others before yourself, which is like obviously that carries into your college career too, which and like even outside of volleyball, I mean like you're a fantastic person. I'm like here to humble you, but like at the same time I'm gonna brag about you. I'm bragging about you. But yeah, I just remember like, and then you started coming to the games, which was like the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Like when you first came to one of the games and everybody, like the crowd went ballistic.
Yeah. And I was like, please stop. I'm just peppering. Like it's not a miracle.
Well, your pepper was better than the other peppers. I was like, you still controlled as heck. So, but no, yeah. So sophomore season was kind of just like, we didn't play together yet again, and
yeah, I did like helped coach and would give you like pointers and be like, "Hey, Grace, hit line. Line is still open. Grace, hit line."
In my highlight videos, like that's what as I said, like Adrian kind of also at the same time while she was like dealing with her own things, like putting others before herself, she actually like sat me down and was like, "All right, are you actually interested in playing college?" And I was like, I guess. I was like what? She's like, well, you can get a scholarship, you can go to a really good university, you can like study, you can do whatever. And I was like fine, like maybe I like give it a try. I like literally it was so hard for you.
Yeah, you didn't know what you were like capable of, and I saw you as this like 6'1" outside hitter. And as long as she could hit line, I knew she had a chance.
But no,
and
I was like, I'm gonna make you wait a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm watching her highlight video that she sends me, and I'm like, Grace, will you please hit line? Like the blockers are 4 foot tall and leave only taking cross. And she still hits cross and like lets this 4 foot blocker touch her hit.
I know, it was so bad.
But we got there.
But insert the video of me playing college 2 years later, hitting line on Adrian, my one and only very good hit that season. But no, for real, you like we're literally like, all right, let's get started. I mean, she got all of like the emails for the coaches and
literally sent you hundreds of
so many
emails, and I was like, just send it to everyone.
And so then I became like a little mini Adrian L, where like during class I was making my highlight videos and responding to emails, and then
nobody has time for class.
Yeah, I was like, I got all my work. I got what I needed.
We needed good enough grades. We knew we were gonna get in.
No, for sure. And so that was like sophomore year was just me kind of being like, all right, like I guess I'm gonna do it. Like again, I didn't know like the options and like how it's not easy, but like how easy it can be if I like put the effort into it.
You just have to be your own best marketing, be proactive about it. So
I
think that kind of wraps up because sophomore year club. So I was like back to playing, and then you were playing at Tri-State at this point. And you're starting to get looks, and then we go into like the summer and going into your junior year, my senior year, and we're like, okay, this is going to be the best year of McNick volleyball ever. Like I'm a senior, you're a junior, like we just
commit.
We I had committed, obviously, and then you were about to commit that season. You committed.
Yeah, it was like
Later
right
that fall.
before school started,
Yeah.
or like just when school
Yeah.
started.
And so we were like, okay, this is going to be it. And we had a really good team. Like there's 4 or 5 in your grade that were really good athletes, and we all played really well together.
And we were all friends. Like it was fun.
The team chemistry was really good. And I kind of talked about in my other video, but like when I was a senior, there's only one other senior. And so I'm kind of like trying to take all these. Everyone said it looked like mama, like trying to take care of the chips, because I would like wrap my arms around everyone, like, hey, we can do this. Like, let's go. So then we were like, yeah, we're doing this. I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to do it, and we're going to do it really well. And then, we get into the match, and all of a sudden Grace is on the ground.
Yeah.
So if you want to elaborate on that story.
Yeah, it was like the second or third match of our season. And I went up to block a ball, and a girl came under the net, and I landed on her. So I like thought that I just rolled my ankle, which I was like, oh, this is great. Like it's gonna be a week or two. And so my mom works in medical sales, and so she travels a lot. And so my dad was at the game, and my dad obviously like has no idea about like injuries and stuff. And so I go down, and like I'm not getting up because I was like, well, I can't walk on this thing. I like you can get up and you'll be fine. But I was like, I can't even flex it. And so obviously with a sprained ankle, you can typically still flex both like laterally and whatever. I don't even know the medical terms. But my dad FaceTimes my mom because we couldn't even get my ankle brace off or my knee pad off because my ankle was stuck like this.
You were screaming, and I was,
oh my God,
again, like medical. And then it's my best friend. I was like, oh my God,
stop. Yeah. And so we FaceTime my mom, and my mom's kind of like, okay, like, Gray, I don't mean to like freak you out, but like we're gonna have to go see like an ortho for this because you should be able to take off your knee pad and not have a problem with it. So lo and behold, I go in and get an MRI and an X-ray, and find out that I broke my ankle. I had like shattered the top of my talar dome, and so the bones had gone into that joint. So that's what was preventing it from like moving up and down side to side. And so that required surgery. And I was like, oh, you've got to be joking. So I was out it was like literally, it had to have been like a 4 or 5 month recovery. It was super quick. I mean, I didn't even do like PT or anything.
Yeah, it was terrible, but it was.
Yeah, it was like
that we did not get
to play together. So I went in like within a week, I had like an MRI, X-ray, doctor visit, and then had surgery like that Friday or Saturday. And I was out for the whole season. And I was like, well, this kind of sucks, but at the same time, I think that I like to use injuries as like a time to like think about things.
Yeah.
Because like if I wasn't being a good teammate, or like if I like can improve my mental game, like figure out ways that you can still be present without being on the court. And that kind of like looking forward also applies to college.
Yeah.
And so we still don't play together, but like obviously I go to the games, I travel, and I like get cleared within like 4 months, but season's over just in time for basketball season. But so unfortunately I still missed the mark with playing with you, but it was good though, because like with you and your injuries and like other people who had been injured, it was good to like gain perspective, because obviously you don't like sitting out. Like that's never actually fun for anybody, is to sit out, especially when you're so excited about a season. But I think that your perspective on being like, all right, Grace, like you're gonna have to like take a seat, like find a spot on the bench, like it's gonna be okay, like you can help be a coach, like if people don't want feedback, like give it to them, because you know that's how you're gonna like kind of gain that respect, is like you're seeing something off of the court that you would never see on the court. Which is big.
It helps you so much, like once you get back on the court
for sure,
see it from the sideline view. But and then I go off to college, and then you're a big senior.
And that was honestly my senior year. It was fun, but it was like nothing special. I think that the biggest thing is like I was just so excited to get to college at that point, because I had committed to Virginia, and Adrian was like, Grace, like I play you every year. Maybe like if we get lucky, it's twice a year. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't wait to go to school. And also like I loved everything about Virginia. Like just like you were Florida State, like we would want you to go to one of those schools. Like we had the best time there, and like the people and professors and everything. It was great. So like my senior year was pretty much like
Get me out.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm ready to go to college. Like, I'm ready to play. I'm ready to like be with my
Until I
team.
called you in the spring and I was like, these workouts are
Every
so
week,
hard.
every week was Adrian being like, you won't believe what I just did today. And
I ran 15, like 200s, and I'm lifting a ridiculous amount of weight. And we were both like little string beans in high school. So like
tiny.
we couldn't even lift the bar basically in like gym class. And then I'm calling her like, they have me trying to lift 35 pounds.
That's like Tic Tacs on each
Yeah.
side, like little marshmallows from
Like,
SpongeBob.
squatting 55 pounds. And to everyone else, that's like literally nothing.
Nothing.
But to us and our teeny tiny legs and all of our fragile bones, we were like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And so the running, neither of us are fond of running.
I
So
don't run very well.
she would ask like, what's the conditioning like? And I was like, it's terrible. You need to start training right now.
And that is what I did. I literally found a guy and ran 3 times a week.
Yeah.
That did not help.
No, nothing you do in high school ever, not that nothing will help you, but like nothing will ever actually 100% prepare you for like college lifts and conditionings, just because
Yeah.
it's a whole different environment and it is a whole different level that you cannot reach and tap into until you get to college.
Yeah.
And you're with those like competitive girls.
Yeah, you just like need to struggle. Like that's the thing is like
Yeah.
you have to struggle and you have to
everybody
feel it,
does.
and then you'll be fine. And so
Yeah.
so my senior year was like, I'm ready to go. Like that was when I really started to take volleyball extremely seriously. We didn't go out in high school. Like we never like
No, we were
didn't we were like our only friends really. Like we
literally we used to go to high school dances.
Yeah, our parents were like, all right, like we're gonna go dress shopping, or did you buy tickets yet? And Adrian and I were like, yeah, like we're like, yeah,
And then
like,
we'd get there and we'd be like,
stay for like the max amount of time you had to be there, and then I'd be like,
yeah,
someone get me home. But it was like we really took volleyball seriously in the sense that like we did everything that we could to like prepare for it. And so that's when I started like seeing somebody to like work on like acceleration training. Never did any weight training because I was like, I don't even want it. Like some strength coaches are so specific that I was like, I don't even know how to do that. I don't know how to ask for it. So but yeah, and then I finished senior year. We did pretty well. I played basketball too, so I was able to finish out my basketball season, which that was fun. It kept me in shape for volleyball, and I had one really good coach that I loved, Gary Cowens.
Yeah.
He was awesome. Yeah, he was super cool. Taught me a lot about sport in general, and so yeah, I would say my high school career was like pretty good. I mean, I can't complain much about it. I had some good friends, and yeah, but I just like couldn't have been more excited for college. I was like, I'm ready to like start. So then here we go to freshman year of college, your sophomore year.
Yeah. And this was the first time so we were going to go to Virginia and you were going to be there.
Yeah.
And so we had that like circled on the calendar 100 times.
Weekly texts of like countdowns.
Yeah.
And stuff.
So excited. And obviously we still like kept in touch during the fall season, even though like we're competitors and like ACC rivals, whatever. And then like leading up to it, we were just like, I can't wait to see you. I'm so excited. We're staying at this hotel. Can you come visit? And it was just going to be like the most fun matchup. Yeah. And then your mom and dad, or just your dad, came, and then our high school guidance counselor came,
yeah, so it was just my dad.
Wild.
Yeah.
Because like Mrs. Tumser always said like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna come watch you girls, because we were little office aides during high school. And we were like, yeah, okay. Because everyone always says like, we're gonna come watch you, like we'll come see you.
And we don't always believe it all the time. We're kind of like, it's hard to get out there,
Until you're in the stands, I don't really believe you. And I get there for the game and she's sitting there and I was like, what are you doing? You drove 8 hours for this volleyball?
Yeah, no, but it was so cool because I went and I asked my cousin, went to Virginia at the time, and I was like, Caitlin, like, can I borrow your car to like drive to Adrian's hotel? Like, I promise I'll bring it back. It'll be fine. So I would like drive your hotel. But that game was so special. I only played 3 rotations because this was around the time where I didn't play.
Yeah, because you didn't play like the first whole set. And I was like, come on, like sub her in. Like, put her in, give her a chance.
I'm pretty sure my coach put me in just because like you were there. And I was like, oh my gosh. And
because I was in like the second or third, maybe it's the end of the first set that you did get in, because that's when you had the kill against me.
Yeah, I did.
So you can tell your side of the kill. And then I'll tell my side of the kill.
The funny thing about that kill is it's actually quite simple. Is their right side just sitting, like they just left me a lot of line. And so there was just no physical way to hit cross. And so I was like, well, I suppose that this is where I'm gonna have to hit line. And Adrian was playing right back. as a setter, and I hit the ball on her. And you know what she does is she just smiles and laughs and then walks into her little huddle. And then the rotation happens and I get subbed out, and that was it.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
Grace gets subbed in. She gets hyped after her kill. And it was a great swing because I think you guys were down at that point, like a decent amount.
You guys were leading by a lot though.
And so you got hyped for this kill. And it was a great swing. But I just kind of laughed because it was literally like your first swing and it was a kill. And of course it was freaking down the line. And it was in my general direction. And so I go to the middle of the and I was like, it's okay, she can have one kill. And Grace didn't realize that I laughed at her until we went back and watched the film of the game together, like on FaceTime. And I was like, Grace, watch my reaction here. And she was like, you're such a turd. Why would you do that? I was
like, come on, man. But it was so good. And then afterwards, we snagged you and went and got dinner with my dad and then Mrs. T and her husband. Yeah. And it was so cool. And so that was like the highlight of like my first year.
The fall season, that was the highlight.
Yeah.
We go basically like at least 5 to 6 months without seeing each other because at the time also Florida State, we stayed over the summer, like the entire summer except for like 1 week right after school gets out. So I wasn't even home in the summer.
No.
And then over Christmas break, if you make the tournament, like you have even less time to go home because you have to be back in January for class and workout start. So we would go a really long time without seeing each other face to face.
Yeah.
And then we just had to rely on like FaceTimes and stuff. But then
it's like a long distance relationship.
Yeah.
I'm like, it was tough.
it was really hard. And we would send like little packages to each other.
Yeah, I loved that. Stuff.
So then you know, you have a great freshman year. You're making so many friends.
Oh my God. Yeah, I had the best time. I had the best first year. Just with, you know, like coaching, I, you know, walked into like a, you know, experienced coaching staff and more so like the team just like loved each other. And I think that's kind of what sold me on Virginia was like how much they cared about each other. Like on my unofficial visit, I was hugged by like every single person and I like didn't talk much when I was like.
Wait, can we rewind to when we went down to Virginia Louisville game? This is a really far rewind. This is before either of us was in college.
This is like high school. Yeah, this is high school. Adrian and Grace. So
like Florida State, Louisville is in the ACC as well, obviously. So Florida State played Louisville, and I was like, Grace, do you want to come with me to like watch a game? So I bring her with me, and I feel so bad because after the game, like all the Florida State girls want to talk to me because I'm going in like less than a year. So I'm talking to all of them and, you know, I love all of them. I've gotten to know them for like 3 years at this point. And Grace is just kind of like sitting in the stands. And so a couple weeks later, you invite me to go to Louisville to watch Louisville and Virginia play. And I was like, oh my gosh, that'd be so awesome. So I go, and after the game, I was like, yeah, Grace, go talk to the girls. It's not a big deal. Because it's not my team. Like, you go talk to them. I'll sit here. We can wait until like dinner starts.
Like, no.
And Grace, I think, leaves for like maybe 5 seconds. And then she goes, Adrian, they want to talk to you. And I was like, what? And then I go down and I'm like sitting there talking with you and your teammates. And they're like, Adrian, oh my God. I was like, who are you people?
Yeah, if like that doesn't say anything about Adrian. It's like my entire team also loved her just as much as like I did. And I just like we just like talked for like a good bit as long as they could after the game. And then when you like obviously we're like fast forward rewinding, but like everybody like knew you. And so they were like, oh, they would ask like, hey, we watched Adrian the other night. Like we saw her recaps like when we were like doing our scout of Florida State.
Yeah.
You were on our little scout. And it was like everyone was like, Grace, like, oh my God, that's Adrian, that's Adrian. And like even the upperclassmen who like I was like kind of scared of.
Those guys would always talk to me and stuff. They were super nice.
So they all like knew her. And so and that kind of just like also goes to show like the kind of people that I was surrounded with at UVA is like they just like cared a lot. And even just like other sports too. Like some of my best friends on other sports like loved Adrian too. And for me, like family is very important. And so when like my friends can like include my family, that like means a lot to me. So it's like I like had the best time, and obviously like 5 years was like great. So that was like the end of my first year, and obviously it was hard like adapting to, you know, the new culture of like, you know, if you have to work very, very hard to like see the court. Like obviously I didn't see the court till like the end of my season.
Yeah.
And that's just because I was getting beat out. And I understood that like people were better than me and that like I was going to have to like outwork everybody. So like I'd go in for extra all the time. Like
Yeah.
I would go and do
Those
like extra
reps, man.
jump training. Yeah, no, this podcast for real. That was like everything has to be extra in order for you to like see the results that you want. And it's like, and it's a lot of work. Like mentally draining. UVA academically is a very hard institution where, you know,
Yeah.
the grades for like almost as a student athlete, you're held on a higher pedestal because your grades have to be like almost perfect
Yeah.
to like be able to play. And that goes for a lot of other colleges too. Obviously, I don't know other
Yeah.
schools and their policies, but
Yeah.
UVA was really
Crazy.
there's not like an easy
Yeah.
major you can do, not an easy master's program.
Oh, not at all.
So just kind of like finding a way. So, but first year was perfect because like I also had you like we called every week, and so
Yeah.
it was like, oh, you can like tell me like I was like, well, I'm not like doing this really well, or like I want to join like Sam Council or like
Yeah.
SAC or something like that. And Adrian's like, go, like you'll meet more people, you meet more people.
Yeah.
I myself am a huge people person. Like I need to be like around
Yeah,
to like survive almost.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then after my first year, in the summer leading in my second year, I like studied abroad to finish a Spanish requirement in
Yeah.
Costa Rica, and that was fun. Really good experience there. Host family was awesome.
Hopefully that'll help us in Peru.
Yeah, I know. I'm
Some
taking some
Spanish.
Duolingo classes and
Oh,
I'm kind of
yeah.
killing it. I'm
Okay,
doing
good.
yeah, not to like toot my own horn or anything,
No,
but
go for it.
I'm like I'm doing pretty well.
Hola.
Yeah.
That's all about where I'm at.
I want to do it now because I was like, I don't want to like look back at this and it be like horrible.
Well, yeah, by the time we're done, we're gonna be like fluent, and
I sure hope so.
that'd be really cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That's
But
the goal. So maybe one podcast will do like Spanish.
oh my
We
gosh,
could have like our teammates. That'd be so
they would
cool.
love that.
Stay tuned for those ideas.
Yeah, but so yeah, then my first year ends, and then we're going into my second year, and another opportunity to play against Adrian was crushed because in preseason I blew out my knee, just about everything in my knee, and
Yeah.
it was
It
so
looked bad though.
no,
on the
it
video,
was
which
so
is good.
stupid. Like some people have like ways in which you're like, oh, like like I went running after a ball and I tried to change direction. I just like I barely stepped wrong and it
Yeah.
just like tore ACL, both sides meniscus and everything. And I was like, well, dang it. Like I did the ACL grab, and that was like one of my biggest fears was
Yeah.
tearing my ACL because I'm like the recovery is so long.
Yeah.
And I like remember you doing
A lot of
it.
it's like this is like 2 years after I had done it.
Yeah.
And I remember because I was looking at the stats because we were playing, I don't know where we were at, but we were playing somewhere. And I was like checking in on Grace because she had played the game before and had like 15 kills.
That I career high.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm sick. Like she's having a great season. Then the next game she has like 2 kills. And I'm like, okay, Grace, what happened? And I'm like waiting for the film to upload because there's this thing called Volumetrics. So like anyone that has access to it, you can go and watch like any college volleyball match.
Yeah.
And especially my freshman sophomore year when I was still a volleyball nerd, I was going and watching like anybody and everybody I could. So I'm waiting for this film to upload of Grace's game because I don't understand why she had like 2 kills, 1 dig, and like that was it. Like that was her whole
literally
after she just had all these career highs. And I was like, are you good? And I think you texted me or called me before the video came up. And I was like, maybe she got hurt or subbed out. Maybe, I don't know. And then you called me and you're like, so I wanted to be just like you.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
And I tore my ACL and I was like,
it was
yeah,
that was like devastating because I was like coming off of such a good preseason.
Yeah.
And I had worked so hard in the summer because like I kind of knew that it was going to be my year. Like I had a chance to play and like do really well and like keep getting better. And I physically felt so like physically, mentally was like, oh yeah, this is going to be it.
Yeah.
And so then, yeah, I got hurt like the second match of our like second tournament.
Yeah.
And obviously like I told my trainer like that I was like, I swear if I tore my ACL, I'm gonna lose my mind. And she like right on the court, she was like, no, like I think I can feel it. Like I think you're good. So she like did me the like service of like not telling me because I think I would have gone ballistic.
Yeah.
And so then I like went down locker room and was icing it, and like the team came in and we got swept by Coastal Carolina, and then you have to wait for the swelling to go down, and I like still was under the impression that
you were
like
fine.
yeah, that I was
fine.
fine.
I just tweaked my knee.
Yeah, I literally was like, no, I'm gonna be back in like 2 weeks, like it'll be good.
Yeah.
And then the doctor came in and saw the video and he was like, oh yeah, you totally tore it. And that was the first I had heard somebody be like, yeah, like it's torn. And it literally was like, well, like my face started like,
Oh
I got
yeah.
bright red. I started sobbing
Yeah.
because I was like, all right, well, here comes like a 6 month or seven or what is it? Like
6 to 9 months.
6 to 9 month recovery. I was like, I guess that I'm like gonna do this now. And then I like talked to the team and I was like, well, there's nothing we can do about it now. And it's like, I'm like, it's not gonna untear like
Yeah.
or anything.
Yeah.
So went in with the docs at UVA, had it fixed, and they did a fantastic job. Like I'm very impressed with how well they did, and they like took great care of me and everything. And I had awesome athletic trainers, and so unfortunately, we were playing Florida State like short in
Florida State
Florida
that
State in
year.
preseason, and
Yeah,
so
it was like
or
early
early
conference.
conference. That's
Yeah.
what I meant to say. And so I was hoping that I would be far enough out of
Yeah.
surgery to like hop on that plane and go to Florida State.
The unfortunate thing was you had to go to Miami first and then bus from Miami to
Yeah.
Tallahassee.
That would have been
which
really
is-
painful for me.
Yeah, that's like a 9 hour bus ride. And
But I
then
like was willing to. I literally was like,
just
I'm
to
going to
see
be
each other
fine.
for like
Yeah,
20
it would have been
minutes.
the greatest thing ever. Yeah,
It would have been nice, but I
Yeah.
was like, Grace, it's okay. And then I sent you a care package.
yeah, that was
Yes, I
lovely.
didn't tell you. I asked your roommates. I DM'd
Christine.
I think I DM'd
Yeah.
Christine and I was like, hey, I want to send Grace a care package. Can you send me your address? And then I texted you like because I'm watching the tracking thing to make sure it gets there and
Yeah.
it steals this box. And I'm like, hey Grace, I know you're on crutches, but I sent a giant box to your house. So you can carry that inside.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
then I was just like, yeah, when you're home, just like call me, like
Yeah.
whatever. And then you called me and you opened it and it was
I was like
cute.
tearing up, but it was like so cool because I got that like
It was pretty close to when they were down at Florida State too.
And I like got videos and pictures from all my teammates like went to see Adrian. And you guys like FaceTimed us and my heart was like so full because they like were waiting for you.
Yeah, because they had just gotten out of practice and I had just gotten out of like class or tutoring or something. So I like walked over to Tully and they were all like standing outside. Like you could tell they were like looking around trying to find
They're like
me.
waiting for it.
And then I was like, hey guys, like,
and they're all like Adrian.
And so I sat and talked with them and like they're the sweetest people ever. Like Mila I knew from Florida State camp actually.
Yeah.
Which was your roommate freshman year.
Yeah.
But they were all so nice, so welcoming, and like just were like, Grace said she like you like wrote me a card. They gave me the card and they were just like, Grace is so sad she couldn't come, but we're so happy to see you.
Yeah.
And we talked for like 20 minutes and then after the game we like talked a little bit too.
Yeah.
It was just a crazy like it was sad you couldn't be there, but it was really cool like that I got to talk to them and I'm not obviously as close as you are, but it's really cool that like they cared enough and when I'd go visit you like later on that like they were still like, Adrian, come over here and like let's hang out. Like
it
wasn't just this like awkward like
it was like a fight to try to like they'd be like, well, what are you guys doing for breakfast? And I'd be like, oh, we're gonna go to the villa or like first lunch. Like, can we come? Or like can we go to like lunch?
Yeah.
And that even like when the team would travel a lot and I was like stuck at home and like doing treatment and stuff, like obviously you kind of like I'm by myself and so I would like crutch everywhere.
Yeah.
I did not like at the time I did not live close to grounds.
No.
But I was like, I gotta find some way to like tire me out. So I would crutch everywhere and like obviously with like meniscus stuff, you're non-weight bearing for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just like I would crutch to like the gym. And that was like that took like 45 minutes of the crutching.
I would try to text you and you'd be like, hold on, I'm in the middle of crutching. And I'm like, why did someone pick you up? Get on a bus, something.
Yeah.
This poor girl like walking around campus while it's like getting ready to start snowing and she's crutching around. I'm like,
yeah, that was like
Grace.
That was like I guess the hardest part is because like we don't like to ask for help.
Yeah.
That was like the worst thing for me. That is like for some reason I'm like I don't want to ask for help. Like I can do it on my own.
Yeah.
But ever since like the knee thing, I was like I'm like okay with being like, hey, like can you like help me do this or like can you do that or
it's okay to ask for help.
Oh yeah, for sure in all aspects of like everything like mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. But I had like so many friends come over and like hang out with me. Like I had some like soccer friends come, I had baseball friends come. And so I was always occupied. Like there wasn't a day that I was just like sitting. Like I was always doing something, which was good. So my like knee rehab, obviously I kept up with like Adrian and her season, but like knee rehab with ACLs, is like a tedious 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of process. But like, I got through it. Like, again, like it was hard and you have to like be pushed. I like it was painful. I would cry a lot because I was like, this is so frustrating. Like I can't do things like I used to. Now I have knee pain, have to worry about getting a knee replaced. Like it's all these like little things
Yeah.
that you shouldn't have to work. Like if I wish that I had known, like don't worry about it because like you won't run into it for a while. And
Yeah.
so, or if any at all.
Yeah.
And so I went through like all my second year just like doing knee rehab, and then
junior year.
well, COVID happened.
Oh yeah,
So
I forgot COVID was that
yeah,
for you.
COVID happened. And so I was supposed to like start running and stuff and like
Yeah.
doing a little bit of jumping, and they sent everybody home. So I was like, okay, great. Like, how am I going to do this rehab like by myself? And that's when kind of like facilities shut down and they were only taking patients who like urgently needed like medical care, like PT stuff. And I didn't qualify as one of those, which I was like, oh man, like, okay.
Yeah.
So
I do.
yeah, my trainer was great though. She was able to like FaceTime me and check in, but she kind of was like, yeah, you can do whatever everybody else is doing. You're like 7 months. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go and play volleyball. So do you remember us going and playing sand?
I do.
That was me like 7 months.
And you didn't wear a brace. And
No.
I was sitting there still I wore my brace all 4 years at Florida State. I could not mentally play without the brace. Like I was fine to like walk around and like do some things without it, but once it came to volleyball, like that mental block, like if I didn't have my knee brace on, I couldn't play. So then Grace is out there, and my knee brace in the sand is just like crunching. It sounds terrible.
So
it
nasty.
wasn't even worth wearing, probably, but mentally I couldn't take it off.
Yeah.
And then Grace out there, like, I'll be fine. And we were all like, me and Sarah and a couple of other girls were just like, are you sure? Like, you should probably wear a brace.
I
Like,
literally was not cleared either.
yeah. And you're like, no, it's fine. And every time you like landed, jumped, dove, we were like, you good? Like,
Yeah.
are you okay?
It probably was more of like a thing for you guys, like a mental toll for you guys, just because you were worried.
Yeah.
But no, I was told I could do whatever everybody else did. And I was like, well, fine then. I'm gonna do whatever. And I like went to Tri-State and did clinics, and my ortho recommended that I like didn't wear a brace. And that was a hard decision because I'd been told by everybody to wear a brace, but it kind of came to a point where I was like, well, I don't actually want to wear, like, I don't like extra stuff. Like I don't wear arm sleeves, like I don't wear like knee sleeves. I wore a knee sleeve for a week when I like got cleared and came back, and I was like, I can't have this on me. Like this is so annoying. And so we decided that I wasn't gonna wear a brace because I didn't want to have to rely on it. And so yeah, then I like came back in the spring, or I didn't come back in the spring. COVID happened.
Yeah.
And then
because we were just chilling at home, like we'd go picnic and run or like do whatever.
We utilized our time really well though.
Yeah. And that was the most time we had together since high school. So like we got even closer then.
Yeah. We did everything together.
Yeah. And then
which was great.
Yeah, it was really fun. Like I said, coming home for COVID was like kind of a relief for me to be able to like hang out with you guys.
I agree too. Just because like spring, like my first year spring was everything that Adrian said that it was going to be, just like how hard it was, and like mentally, like you have to like grow and get tougher. And so I just remember calling you and being like, we just did like the iron cab, and I just had to run the stadium, and I almost threw up, but it's like it's all about like pushing yourself, and you feel so accomplished when it's over. Like it is the nicest feeling. Like I run the iron cab right now. I do the stadium run right now just to like kind of get a little bit of that, like, oh my gosh, like I did that. That was awesome feeling. But then we came home and it was good because you're able to like rest your body. And like then we came back from then we come back for junior year where COVID cautious, and I like finally get cleared, but I'm doing horrible. And I like call Adrian, and I'm like, Adrian, like I'm sucking.
We were both miserable.
We were both miserable. Yeah, because it was like
because that's when I wasn't playing a whole lot, and so that was my senior year.
Yeah.
And your junior year. Yeah. So like I'm not playing, you're not playing.
I'm doing horrible.
This sucks.
Yeah.
Get me out of here.
I think junior year was hardest, and then we had our coaching staff change, and so like everything that we thought that we had that was like certain was just like wiped clean.
Yeah.
And so I just remember like talking to you a lot, and I'm like, how did you do the ACL thing? Because for me, that was like my first like really big injury. Like with the ankle, like I was like sidelined, but that's like in high school. Like I'm missing out playing with. Honestly, Adrian was the only thing I really cared about. I was like, I'm already committed. Like these people are certain that like I'm gonna make it back. Like I'm gonna be sure that I'll like come back and I'll be fine. But this ACL thing is really like messing with my head. I was like, I don't know I'm not jumping high, like I'm not squatting well, like my knee hurts.
Yeah.
And like thankfully, like now, like I forget that I ever got hurt. Like it's you have to work through it, and obviously there's like some residual
But it
pain.
takes us so long to get to that point because
Yeah.
like even for me, every once in a while, like my knee will bother me or like be a little more stiff than normal. But like the first like year after, even though you're cleared and like you're strong and you're fine, it's still like you'll have like a little pain or like if you dive and it gets bruised, you kind of like still are like, is this okay? It's just so many mental, and everyone says it and it's so cliche, but like it's so much more mental than it is physical.
100%.
But like the mental part takes such a big toll that like then your physical starts to like decline too.
I remember coming back like one of my first practices, and my coach had me going and blocking. And I remember like I didn't even jump. I stood there and I was sobbing. And I like had a mental because like for me, like these girls are getting so close to the net, and I was like, I'm not wearing a brace.
And that's
like,
exactly how you did it, and you don't want to do it again. Like
I like, it's something that you have to like fight through. And like you said, it's like the biggest mental battle ever because you just have to trust that like once you get it fixed, it's never gonna happen again, and like knock on wood. But but it's like, yeah, I remember like freaking out over like I would step wrong and I'd feel like crunch. And then I'd have to have I'd go to the trainer and like, oh, it's just scar tissue, like you're walking, right? And I was like, yeah, she's like, all right, get back out there. And I was like, okay. Thankfully my trainer was like, I love her. She's one of my favorite people ever, but she was like brutal. She's like, all right, you have to start running, like go. Like you can do it, like you know how. So it's just regaining the muscle memory of it all. But yeah, so junior year, I was like calling you all the time to be like, how did you do it? Because this is something I've never dealt with. And it's like good, obviously, like asking for help and like going to people. There's like a whole community of like people there for you for whatever situation you have. And so whether that's like if you're sick, if you're injured, if mentally you need to like reach out to somebody, like there's always a person for you. So that's kind of like thankfully Adrian has like a little checklist that I was like, all right, this is the ACL department. I was like, okay, let's figure it out.
Professionals, you just come to Adrian.
Yeah, no, for real. But I think the best piece of advice was just like repetition is like getting comfortable with it because it's just not going to get any easier, and you just have to like kind of keep fighting through it. And then I think the other thing was like you were like, well, you're starting from square one, so like try to fix the things that like you weren't doing well before, which was a huge thing for me because obviously like I wasn't all that great. And so I was like, hey, like now it's time for me to like nail down the basics and like and I just remember that call vividly because you were like, well, you always like talk about your passing. So like work on like getting your passing back because these coaches aren't going to rush you. Like you take your time doing what you need. And so that was like the big thing going into year 3 was just like fundamentally, how do I like better my game, which was really good advice because obviously that helps me like now because I fixed what I was doing wrong. And so junior year was just dealing with COVID, getting cleared, coaching staff change, and then spring, rehiring. And that was sad because, we had such a good team and just the unfortunate things that, happen with, coaching jobs and stuff. And then the process of rehiring and like who you're going to get, if you're going to like them. But fortunately, I ended up loving our coaching staff. Head coach came from Florida. Assistant coach came from like a million places, and he knows that I always joke about that. But he's a big in the coaching world. And so no, I absolutely loved him. And they got hired spring of my 3rd year, which was good. And you had heard, and it was kind of funny, is like when our head coach Shannon got hired, Adrian knew her because Florida and Florida State. And so Adrian came over the summer and we came to like an open gym. And Shannon came in and was like, I know who you are. And I was like, of course she does. Of course she does.
Because at this point, going into your senior, that spring semester, I was already at West Virginia, and I was, as we talked about in the last episode, like having a tough time. And Grace is now only 4 hours away from me. It's like, I'm coming to visit.
I was gonna come to Charlottesville because it's the greatest place on earth.
So I got to come, and I went one time in the spring, and then I went like at least once or twice in the summer. And then in the summer I came to an open gym, and she like stopped by. And of course at the open gym, I'm trying not to step on anyone's toes. Like, this is not my team, not my practice. Like, you put me where you need me and I'll play volleyball, but I'm not gonna like sit here and tell you what to do or like coach you. Like, I don't want to be that person. And so they're like, Adrian, like, go do setting. Adrian, go do. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, just
We literally had her starting in like every single drill. We were like, Adrian, go do this. Adrian, and she was just like, okay.
yeah. And I don't really know anyone at this point. Like, I know a few people pretty well, but like, I've never
Yeah.
played with them. So playing volleyball with people you don't know is also very challenging. But then Shannon walks in, and I was like, should I like say hi? And then she's like, hi, Adrian.
I was like, oh, so you know each other?
Yeah. I was like, hi, you beat me 4 years in a row. No big deal. But she was super nice, and like I loved going to visit Virginia and visit Grace. Like we always had such a good time together.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was part of the team like right away. Like
Yeah.
there was no like awkward like, hi Adrian, like we're happy you're here. It was
Yeah.
like, Adrian, come on, we're going to do this.
Like it was so close that Adrian actually went to like one of like our bachelorette party for
Yeah.
one of our teammates. Like
And
yeah,
she
like,
was so excited to have me there, and I felt
Yeah.
like I was overstepping. I was like, this is not my
Sarah was like, bring Adrian, and I was like, she's coming that weekend. You
Yeah.
got it. And like Sarah was like the happiest person
Oh
ever.
yeah, it was awesome.
But yeah, and then I had my 4th year, and that was like a whole new experience of like culture. Like
Yeah.
Shannon, those coaches reshaped everything. I mean, we were literally starting from scratch. Like what I thought with like coming into college, like throw that all out the door. Like we're learning a new system, we're learning like new defense, we're learning new scouting ways. Like you're gonna do things so
She
differently.
just amped everything up that you guys did.
Yeah,
like
as she should have. Yeah,
before, it was like, and you even said like there were people that were like, oh, I just want to go to Virginia, and volleyball is like a way to get there.
yeah,
And now Shannon's like coming from Florida, where it's this like elite predominant volleyball school
Yeah.
that's like making deep runs. So she was like, yeah, no, like you're not here just to like
Mhm.
play volleyball for fun. Like this is a serious thing.
yeah.
And I think that was a huge wake up call for you, because I always talk
Oh, yeah.
about like I can't come home over the summer, and you guys are like, oh, we just go do wherever. in
Yeah,
the
we had
summer.
like a month and a half off every summer.
And I was like, I'm in the weight room every
Yeah.
day. Like this is terrible. But like that's, to me, that's what I expected. Like I was ready for this like commitment of like my life being signed away for 4 years to like go work out and play at the Power 5 level. Like I wanted to go deep, run through a tournament, all this stuff. And then for you, you kind of like maybe expected that, but then when you
Didn't
got there,
get that right away.
yeah. And then for your senior year, it was
Yeah.
like, oh, just kidding, we're ramping it
I
up.
was like, I guess that like we're gonna lift like more times every week, and our volleyball, like sometimes with our old, like with our practices, like my 1st through 2nd year, it would be like, oh, we'd practice for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and we're just gonna call it there, and
Yeah.
like everybody go home, and we're all like, okay, like fine. But this time, like we utilized the entire practice block, and sometimes like she would like kind of be like, all right, like I have no more time for you guys, but if you think that you are working on, or if you like think you need to work on serving, if you miss more than 3 serves in practice, I would highly advise
Those extra
that you have the option to serve after. And we'd be like, all right, that's a mandatory.
That we
That's
love-
how you know you're gonna do it.
Yeah,
like
the love of optional mandatory workouts and
Yeah.
that's all college
Go to them.
athletics
I-
is. Yeah.
I always had an issue when people would like question if like it would be like optional.
Yeah.
I'd be like, why aren't you going? Like
Yeah,
for
sometimes I didn't go, but that was more West Virginia than Florida
but
State.
for me, I'm like, if it's like optional, I was like, then it's like the optional mandatory. You know
Oh,
what I'm
for
talking
sure.
about?
There
And I'm
was
always like, why
also-
wouldn't you want to go?
There's also a fine line, because sometimes, like at West Virginia, I was like, no, I'm burnt out right now. I
Yeah.
need a break. And I think that's important to like listen to your body.
For
Like,
sure. Yeah.
if you need mentally and physically, like if you need a break or like
Yeah.
whatever, take it. But like there are some people that are just so like, I'm going to everything. And I was
That
like,
was so me.
and that was me probably my first 4 years.
Mhm.
And then I got to West Virginia. I was like, yeah, I'm too old for this. Like,
Yeah,
I'll
no.
go to what I need to go to. And if it's really optional mandatory, like heavy mandatory, then I'll go. But
Yeah.
if it's completely optional,
You're like, yeah, I can see.
I'm
today.
sleeping in. I'm not getting up at 6 a.m. Sorry.
No, I was always that. I'm like that kind of like I was that person.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, if it's optional, like I was just gonna show up. I was like, I'm gonna do it. Like
Yeah.
maybe because I have like FOMO. I have horrible FOMO in all aspects of life. I have FOMO. Like if people are like going out, I'm like, well, I guess I'll just go out for like an hour and like see like what everybody's doing and like say hi to my friends and then leave.
Yeah.
Or if it's like those optional things, I was like, okay, like I'm gonna go, because what if I like miss out on like a really good opportunity to like get better like in passing?
Yeah.
or like anything. I have FOMO. Like I like going to the grocery store with people if they have a big list and I'm like, okay, like I could just go.
Yeah,
Or if
big people person over
big people
there.
person. Um, but yeah, so then we started like utilizing all the practice blocks and like started having those like optional mandatory like
Yeah,
sessions where like you would come in with your team and like no coaches and stuff. And um it was so hard. It was so hard.
yeah.
Like I had never been in such good shape because we were working so hard.
And I feel like then
Or
cool. Good talking, Jen. But I was gonna say, I think it was also a big, maybe not. Here, we'll start there. Was that like a big reason why you wanted to stay there your fifth year? Because
oh
that
my
was kind
gosh.
of up in the air for you. Because you also had a redshirt and a COVID.
Yeah.
So
So that was a really good question because so I like looking back my 4 years, like not including the fifth year, I like loved Virginia. I loved everything that it was about. I loved the people. Locationally, I love the outdoors, so I was able to go and like explore. I mean, you're on the in the Blue Ridge Mountains, so there's like infinite places to go hiking. I love the professors, the administrators, like I literally did not have a problem at all with any part of Virginia because I just like felt that I utilized my time and it was great. And so I come my fourth year, like I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna have to go into the transfer portal. I have 2 more years of eligibility. Like, what am I gonna do? I don't think that Shannon's gonna ask people back because in the back of my head, I was like, well, she wants to reshape her program. I was like, she didn't recruit me.
yeah,
And so I was so okay with the fact that she like might have wanted to move on. And I was like, it's her team now. Like, I'm so happy how, she's changing it, how she's like building this program, what she's doing. So I thought she wasn't gonna ask me back. And then she called me back into her office and was like, yeah, like we want you to come back for a fifth year. And I was like in tears because I was like, I get to stay here for another year.
yeah,
And so I graduated early with my undergrad. And that was like a big reason because I was like, I can see what she's going to do with this program. And I can see that it's going to be great. And I want to be part of that. I was like, I didn't want to leave when, it was her first season and we just had like the new coaches come and
yeah,
we like literally only won one game and that was North Carolina in 5. And then
yeah,
we got swept the rest of the season. Like I didn't want to end it that way. And I
yeah.
also wasn't ready to say bye to my friends. And I was like, a
Never.
master's from UVA kind of sounds nice.
Yeah,
And so that was definitely a really big reason why I did like stay is because like I just loved everything about it. And my fifth year ended up being like the best year
literally
ever.
fire.
Yeah, and not even like volleyball. Like I had a good time. Like
Yeah,
you get to that point when you're older and you're kind of like, well, I have nothing to lose. Like this is the last year that I'm gonna play.
yeah,
I am gonna go out and just have fun, like ball out with my friends. Like I like my best friends. I got to like play with them, and I also got to go to a lot of like other sporting events. I was like women's soccer biggest fan, and got to go to more basketball games, which I was super happy about, and just like being present where I was at
yeah.
and just like really soaking it in because like 4 years flies by so fast. And so I was
So
like, I get one more year. I don't know how I got so lucky, but I was like so grateful. And so yeah, and volleyball also went well too. I loved it and had fun and
yeah,
we did a lot better. Like statistically we won more games. We had the best start since probably the around 2015-ish, maybe
amazing.
even maybe before that. And then
You got a special recognition at the end of season two.
oh, I just got a you're decent at volleyball award. Oh shoot, sorry.
It's okay.
Almost broke that. No, and I didn't even know like was never used to like getting awards. So when I was like
Yeah,
when Shannon called me and was like, hey, like you got like an all what was it, all district or
you
not
got all
district, oh my
conference,
gosh, all
second,
conference, second
second
team
team,
all
right? Yeah,
conference, yeah. And I was like, what does that mean? She's like, well, you're like
you're good at
yeah,
volleyball,
you're good at
Grace.
volleyball. And I was like, wow, like I'm
And
so
people
honored. But
voted
like
for you.
I was like, did you guys see like the rest of my team? And I was like, well, does anybody else get one? And she's like, well, like, like they'll have a chance to like in the come. And I
Yeah,
was like, okay, like cool. But and it was like super, it was awesome. Like I
yeah.
like again didn't expect it, but it's
I'll
just
brag on you.
yes. Nah. But that's just what happens when like you have fun and like you're finally kind of like content with like what you're doing and you're putting your best foot forward to represent a school and like a team that you just like love so dearly. And so that's what kind of like I was like, I'm ready to put it all out there. I was like, I only have a year here and
Yeah.
then we Going
Well,
to go play
then,
pro.
well, but before that, you were going somewhere else
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So
because you had your 6th year.
yeah. So I had my 6th year and I am very hard on myself. I am like super hard on myself. And so I was gonna do a 6th year to one, get another degree because academically I was like, I can do it. It would be easy. And then also I wanted to learn from like a different, coaching staff where, maybe I can get better like skill wise at volleyball. And I was like, it'll help me prepare to be better at for like pro.
Yeah.
And so I verbally committed to a school in Ohio and I was really excited about going there and the coaches were fantastic and like beyond lovely. Like I mean, I really, really liked them and I liked the team. And so all of a sudden my coach calls me into our office and is like, hey, like I understand that you're verbally committed. And I didn't tell the team. I didn't tell anybody. I even waited to tell you.
I knew pretty early on.
You were one of the first people.
Yeah, because you came from to visit Ohio.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And then my car broke down. That was horrible. Thank you for driving halfway to pick me up in Ohio. I was like, that's how I knew you loved me.
Yes.
And she's like, I know that you're verbally committed and, you're excited about, heading home for your 6th year, but I just want you to know that there is an agent who, has kind of made me aware that some like teams overseas want you to play for them. And I looked at her and I was like, you have got to be kidding. I was like, you're joking, right?
Which to me, after watching like your progression from freshman year to senior year and then your 5th year was like literally outstanding. And I'll brag on you bragged on me for like 30 minutes.
I love bragging on you.
But your freshman, sophomore, and even your junior year, it was just like
so bad.
You were just kind of like at this, like you had gotten better from high school, but then like you were just kind of like here.
Yeah.
Like, you played college volleyball and
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Which I think was the culture of Virginia. It was just like you get a little stronger, a little faster, a little better, and then you're just kind of there.
Exactly.
And then
I agree with
Shannon
that.
was able to like help you like reach that potential that a lot of us saw in you.
Yeah.
And you were able to actually like capitalize and maximize all of those opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you started to see it in your senior year. So in your 5th year, and I'm like watching the stats, watching games, and I'm like, she is killing it. Like she's doing so good. Like you got MVP at the Xavier Invitational. You were getting like 20 plus kills in every other game, I swear. And I was like, okay, great. So then when she called me and was like, this agent's interested, I was like, yeah, he should be. Like,
and for me, that was like so far-fetched. I mean, like that shows my almost like self-awareness of like where I'm at is because I had to have Shannon tell me, she's like, I don't think you need to do a 6th year. Like, you're ready to go. And so obviously I'm going through like the mental toll, and that's when I call Adrian like crying, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing right now, because obviously like playing a 6th year would have helped me like, with skills that maybe like I wasn't great in, like passing and defense, like I could have learned from some really good coaches. But then also like starting my pro career where I would have had to do that the same thing a year from now would have been, I would have waited a little bit. And I was kind of like, well, I guess the time is now. And after talking to Adrian and my parents, and then also like I reached out to like 2 friends at school. I was like, I need some help. Like, I don't know what to do. I called Carter. I was like, Carter, and he's one of our like really good friends. He was a manager for the basketball team, and he just like is so aware of everything. And so I called him and I was like, I like have no idea what I'm supposed to do. And he's like, I think you know your answer. And that's kind of like what you said too, is like indirectly, you're like, I think you know what you should do. And I was like, okay, well, that's great, because I really don't. And so ultimately I ended up calling the coaches and just telling them, hey, like, I appreciate everything. And, you guys have been fantastic, but I've decided to forego my 6th year. And I'm going to like go and pursue this pro volleyball career. Yeah. And obviously, like, I always wanted to go pro in something. For a long time it was soccer, and then when I got into high school, when my junior year came around and it became more serious, I was like, well, I think like traveling, meeting people, playing volleyball, like that's right up my alley. I was like, I love talking to people and like traveling, and I still love volleyball, like I'm not tired of it. But I think that all came as like with Shannon kind of like giving me harsh like truth. She's like, she would tell me that like if I wasn't learning something, she'd be like, oh, you're being uncoachable, so let me help you like try to figure this out. So I had to like rethink how I was like getting information, and the skills that they were teaching was tough. And she just was like, I say very loosely but brutally honest, because she just was so truthful, and I needed that. Like, I needed a coach to get on me, and she could yell at me and I would be fine with it, and I would take it and kind of use it as a little bit of fire and just like listen. And so I think that like that coaching staff was like the best thing to happen to our program and to like me specifically, because those are the kind of people that I needed. And I like chose to kind of to really like fall for what they were teaching, and kind of dive head into whatever they were going to do. So yeah, and that was kind of like my college career. And just with volleyball, like it was like the biggest like up down thing I've ever done in my life. Like it was anything from ordinary. Like I even committed under new coaches or a different coaching staff. So 3 coaches in 5 years, and then a bunch of academic coordinators and COVID and injuries and stuff. Yeah.
Or get new jobs or
Yeah, no, for sure. Everything is just, it's so unpredictable. And just I like, again, like I had the best time, and I couldn't have been like happier. And now like we're going to Peru.
Yeah,
And
it's such a full circle moment. Like
yeah,
you wanting to go play pro, you forego your 6th year, and then now we need to go play together. Like because we didn't know at the time, like we didn't know when you decided not to go to the other school, like we didn't know that we were going to be playing together yet.
no,
It was just the idea of going to play pro.
yeah.
So then like a couple weeks later to get the email like, hi, Grace and Adrian,
Oh,
your best friends.
I know.
Because we're going to play together. We were like, yeah.
We were like, next question.
Yeah, I was like, because we got on the phone at one point and Nick's like, yeah, you'll be on the beach. Your like weight room overlooks the ocean and all this stuff. And I was like, where do I sign?
Yeah, I was like, can you send those documents like
we're gonna be
ASAP?
roommates, like
Yeah.
Yep. So
And it's-
to me.
It's just so crazy because I went back to our high school, and I got to meet like the new AD and stuff, and they all like, it was like the football strength coaches, and then they hired like a new strength coach, and they were like, how crazy is it that like 2 people from like the same high school, like same city, played in the ACC, like are going and playing for the same club in Peru, like of like the hundreds of teams that we could be playing for. It's like,
and we came from a small school. Like we're not an athletic powerhouse school. Like
no,
we're just a little tiny Catholic
private school. I was like, we did the best we could.
Yeah, we were itty bitty, and
Yeah.
we started our little baby freshman careers, and then
know.
now we're gonna be pro athletes.
Yeah.
Just kind of crazy to think about. It's actually like here,
Yeah.
and we're going, and it's not just like a dream or.
But you like, I was talking to someone, and you just like work so hard for that. It's kind of like everything like kind of pays off, and it's still like not real yet till you get there.
Yeah, it's gonna be so weird, like getting off the plane and it being summer and being like,
I was like,
wait,
where are we going?
like we're actually here.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's gonna be interesting because, like I said, hopefully we'll actually be roommates and we can.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
But I'm hoping to do like maybe we can like weekly, like Grace and Adrian.
Yeah, we can sort of vlog.
Just of like what it's like, because I don't think there's a lot of information out there about like pro volleyball, like what the life is like, how to get scouted and like figure all that stuff out.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be cool to also like give everyone back home like feedback of like, this is what we're doing. A, so you guys know what's going on, and then B, we can look back on it in 20 years and like show our kids like we were cool like pro volleyball. But like I don't know, I think it'll just be fun to like talk about the highs and lows of pro volleyball, because again, like college volleyball, like anything, there's all the stuff you see on social media, and there's like everyone puts on a brave face.
Yeah.
Everything's wonderful. But like what it's actually like when your coach doesn't speak English, or like,
when the rest of your team like has even like learned skills from 15 different teams. Like I mean, I can guarantee you the system that we do at Virginia, like nobody has done that.
Yeah.
Or the system that you ran at Florida State or West Virginia, like the way that they teach you, like now trying to mold into like a new team is going to be like a learning curve for sure.
And just like you said, we have to be so much more like open and receptive to a new coach, because it's not like we knew kind of what we were getting into with our college coaches, and especially our high school coaches. Like we could kind of do whatever we wanted in high school, to be honest. But like
truly.
But like in pro, that's not gonna fly. And that's our job. So now we have to inform. So we'll keep you guys updated on all that stuff. I think it'd be really cool to like, have our like teammates on the podcast. If
I think
they
they would love
want to.
that.
Yeah, it'd be really
Maybe.
cool to like show some different background experience, but then also like catching up with Grace and Adrian and seeing each other. So she'll be a like face you see.
Yeah,
more
you guys
often.
don't miss me too much while I'm gone for a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, but I think that wraps up today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed, and be sure to like and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments for me or Grace, leave them down below.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll catch you next week.
All right. Bye.